And we are back. Wow, these deliberations just seem to keep going and going and going and going, which is appropriate because now we've moved on to the best ongoing game category. These are games that didn't necessarily come out this year, but they continue to be improved upon and playable. And we liked some of them more than others. We're gonna talk about them right now. What do you say? I don't even know where to begin. What game could we possibly start with, Sam?
Your Honor, as bailiff, I was going to say, let's do a very sophisticated choosing system. Eeny, meeny, miny, Sam. Sam,
Yeah.
tell us about your nomination.
Thank you. I would like to nominate Destiny 2 for Best Ongoing Game. For 2022, cast your mind back to February, we had the launch of The Witch Queen. Arguably one of the best expansion packs of the year, and one of the best expansion packs to come to Destiny 2. Not only did it continue the storyline that we've all, Destiny 2 players have been eagerly anticipating, but it added in one of the best new mechanics and new campaign systems, the Legend campaign, which upped the difficulty, and it allowed a good entry point for new players as well. There wasn't a whole lot of barrier to jumping into this campaign, and even if you had just a cursory knowledge of Destiny 2, it allowed you a point to jump in and feel like you could just get up to speed really quickly. And then even just the season to season, there's been like a little bit of downtime recently, but taken as a whole, the year has been a positive one for Destiny 2, especially with the new subclass reworks that they've done to all of the elements and just the state of the game as well. There's something to be said about the PvP side, but overall I think that the PvP side, but overall I think most people can agree that Destiny 2 is in a great spot right now.
Yeah, and it's not just looking back at like actual releases of expansions and seasons, because that's stuff that we expect in an ongoing game, right? Like you have to release content on an annual basis, and you need some sort of you don't need it, but most games like this would have a seasonal model where there's a season pass and everything, and that's fine and good, but it's the space between where I think they've started to get a lot better, and the pacing. And granted, it took Bungie a long time to kind of like hit their stride, but we start to see little secret community events. We've had 2 of them that were not announced, they were not planned, or at least revealed to the community ahead of time. One of them being just that fun little Telesto puzzle, essentially, which ended up in an emblem. And it's kind of Bungie making fun of themselves, because Telesto is probably the most cursed gun I've ever seen in any game in history, and it somehow manages to completely break the game. And at this point, there's accounts on Twitter that are like, days since Telesto broke Destiny, and it's kind of hilarious now, and we all get a little sad when Telesto doesn't break the game for a long time. But they also had the community event where we all got together and did used a common goal to upgrade a social space. So you're actually making changes as a community to the physical playing area in the game through an unannounced and surprise community event. And Sam, I hear what people say about the downtime, but I think that's just us getting used to the breakneck pace that Destiny has set with the content, because it's not really downtime. We just left Festival of the Lost for the Halloween event. We are obviously going to have what's it called for the holiday event coming up? The Dawning?
I want to say it's Solstice or the Dawning?
Something like that. Yeah, they have a holiday event coming up, but in the middle of that, you've got your Iron Banners, and you have charity drives for Ukraine, and it's just nonstop with that game. And not only is the content better than it's ever been, because I really believe that it is, it's more approachable than it's been. To your point, that kind of started and really took place with the Witch Queen, but it's also the relationship, I think, between the community as a whole, and I don't necessarily mean like the hardcore players, but like the overall community, I think is better than it's been as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And
this is a game that gets a feature length update every Thursday. And I mean, like, those things can be 1,000 words, they can be 7,000 words. Like, they're absolutely massive in the communication from Bungie to their players. Is I don't know of another game that's on that level with that. There might be, but I don't know of it.
yeah.
And I just think that for a game that came out in 2017, Destiny 2, we're looking at like a really strong game that just keeps getting better.
Yeah. And it can be difficult for me sometimes to reflect upon a year when there's just so much to do in Destiny 2, and I cover it so extensively here at Shacknews. But I just sort of had a quick look, and I just recalled, that the King's Fall raid came this year, which is a remake of the original raid from Destiny 1, and I was up there doing the 24-hour stream to try and finish it in 24 hours. Me and my teammates, we did it. We knocked it out of the park. And then we tackled the challenges on a weekly basis for 5 weeks there. Absolutely, like, tested our skills. And having that content just dispersed throughout the year makes it something that I look forward to revisiting every season. And it just goes from strength to strength. And I think you said is what is right is that Bungie has really started to hit their stride in terms of what players can expect. You get a new raid, and then you get a new dungeon, then you get a new raid, and then you get a dungeon, and then between that you've got all these extra activities whether you can join in even as just like casually, hey, I'm going to pop in, get a weapon, get out, or get in, absolutely grind the heck out of it, and get exactly the build that you want.
Well, and that's something that I think has changed because people criticize Destiny for the grind. And I have friends that don't grind at all. They can go in and on a weekly basis, if they want to, and play for an hour to 2 hours tops and enjoy the story content, get their cutscenes, dig into the narrative, and still be powerful enough that if they want to do a raid, they can do a raid. If they want to do a dungeon, they can do a dungeon, but they don't have to do any of that stuff. They don't have to grind for whatever it is you and I want to grind for, and they don't. They have a really healthy relationship with Destiny, I dare to say, because it's kind of like, oh, cool, this is interesting to me and I'm going to engage with this, but that's it. Then I'm going to go do my own thing.
Yeah, exactly. And like you and I have conversations outside of playing where we will just talk about our builds. We will try and eke out an extra 10% of damage and be like, hey, you'll be like, hey, what do you think of this build? I'll be like, I think you could gain 20% more damage if you swap out this mod for this one. You're like, well, but then I'm going to lose 20 mobility, Sam, and I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, that's a fair point. This is your build, but you do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I think that helps to drive the engagement too, because it has to be engaging for everybody in their own way and in a way that makes sense for them. So, I mean, I think we've made our point about Destiny 2. I'm sure there's other nominations.
I yield the floor.
Yes.
I've got one. It's the
Of course you
same
do.
game. The same game I nominated for in a losses category last year. Fortnite did a couple of massive things this year. Back in March, maybe around April, they introduced zero build mode, which is probably the biggest update they've ever made to that game, where they removed building. It's a build-free mode. One of the biggest criticisms or things that turned off new players from Fortnite was its building mechanic. Like the very sweaty hardcore players were infamous for like building mansions and whatnot and being unbeatable. Like you couldn't even get a shot on them. This brought a lot of my friends back. I saw a lot of people playing the game for the first time. Super enjoyable. It's surprising that the game wasn't designed to be played that way with how well it works. And they even kind of rebalance the game a little bit. They give you extra shield and stuff. It works awesome. And they even do zero build tournaments in the game. And it's permanent. It's not like a limited time mode or anything. It's in the game forever and ever. And then two, they did a 2-week period where all money spent in game, I believe, went to Ukraine relief. This was back when like the invasion first happened earlier this year, and they actually timed it with the start of the new season, which is when the new battle pass rolls out, when the new cosmetics are hitting the shop, so when player spending is at the highest. And I believe that initiative, at least according to our article, raised $144 million in that 2-week period. And then in addition to all that, they continue to do all the regular collaborations. They put Street Fighter characters in the game, Pac-Man cosmetics, and a bunch of other cool things. So yeah,
Didn't bring up Dragon Ball.
I didn't. I was
bring
trying to
up
play to my
Dragon.
audience. I knew we had Street Fighter and Pac-Man fans listening, so I singled those
Oh.
out.
You didn't think there were any Dragon Ball
Yeah,
fans?
I like
listening,
Dragon Ball.
huh?
Yeah, I like Dragon Ball. I'm
Yeah,
down.
what the hell?
I'm actually still
Well,
playing as
they
Beerus
added
in the game.
Goku, Vegeta, and Bulma and Beerus. There you go.
Yeah, honestly. Go ahead, TJ.
Putting no build in that game, putting no build mode in that game is the best thing that ever happened to Fortnite for me.
No, it is. I mean, people. Oh no, go ahead.
I hate not like chipping away at someone's health only for them to put up a tower in front of me and just escape by the skin of their teeth. I hate that. I do realize that without build mode, I'm kind of a sitting duck if I get caught out in the open, but so are they. And we've played around those kinds of games for all of my life, so like I excel in Fortnite build mode in a way that I never did in build mode. Or sorry, no build mode.
Yeah. It really has been a great update. I mean, I have friends that like swore off the games, like I will never touch Fortnite, and then they dropped Zero Build, and they're like, "Wait a minute, okay, I'll download it, check it out, I'll play a few games."
That's some of my friends did that.
definitely
Yep,
transformed
absolutely. Because
that
like
fan
I've seen the
base.
memes where like you shoot one guy once and then he just built a tower instantly in like 5 seconds. You're like, and you just watching
Yeah.
him build a tower, and it got really bad to that point. And I've watched kids play that. Like my nephew, he plays it with the keyboard almost sideways. It's insane how these really young kids.
Oh
like,
yeah, they get into it.
Yeah, they're really good at it, and but it is like the no build mode alone is like one of the things that saved that game. I think for older gamers like myself, I'm like, oh cool, no build. I can just shoot now and hide. I don't have to watch a tower being built in front of me. That's awesome.
It's so weird to me how far Fortnite has gotten from its initial concept and roots.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
it's wave-based shooter.
completely. Yeah, it was like, hey, you're gonna like take on hordes of enemies and be able to build up bases in order to survive and do all this like, exploring for resources and stuff like that. And now it's just like battle royale. It's just a battle royale now with a lot of licensing behind it.
And
I
that's
think
not a
what's
bad
cool though,
thing.
Blake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
not a
I
bad
think
thing
what's cool-
necessarily, but
the cool thing is they still find a way to bake all that core DNA into the game though. Back in October they did their Halloween event, which they call Fortnitemares annually, and this time they did a mode and it was PvE zombie survival where you drop into the map with 4 people, you're collecting resources and you're fighting like massive horde of zombies as you bounce across the map, and it's like straight up wave based Left 4 Dead style, traveling to different points of interest around the battle royale map. Trying
Is
to
that still
survive
in the
until
game,
So
the
they
or is
end.
that
brought
like a?
so Fortnite. You were telling me Fortnite brought back Fortnite as a special event.
I mean, that's still you can still play Save the World year round.
Yeah,
that's
Save the World
also
is
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
But then they
people
made
act
it a
like they took
special
that
event
offline.
so people would actually play it again. I guess I'm missing the point.
Well, this
there,
is
then.
this is a bit different because Save the World is base building and the zombies come to you. This is more of like progressing around. You're traveling like there's a circle and you're
Okay.
constantly moving with it from point A to B to like gather items and do a little mini narrative.
Yeah.
Is that a
and,
limited
like,
time event, Donovan, or is that in the game permanently as a mode you can play at any time?
No, that the specific what I was just talking about was for an event.
But Save the
That
World
was
is
coming
still there.
fast.
You can play
Yeah,
Save the World
yeah.
whenever you
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
But you take the no build mode out of or you take the build mode out of Fortnite, and suddenly you're left with the pedigree of third-person shooter that made Epic Games famous. Like that's the way it feels to me. That's why I like it. That's because underneath that build mode, Epic Games is still good at making a good third-person shooter, and it shows.
Agreed.
Fair enough.
That's not my nomination, though. My nomination, and actually, I'm going for it because we have. I will be the voice of the voiceless in this match. Ozzy is not here with us. This is his nomination, and after he mentioned it, I had to get on board with it. Fall Guys went free to play this year, and wow, what a bunch of good things that they've been doing with that game since Epic Games gave them the money bag. They've launched a whole new season. They've got cross-play, cross-progression. The game is on Switch. I think that was one of the things we hated about it when it first came out, is that it wasn't on Switch. They have addressed so many concerns from the public and so many issues with that game from the public, whether it be like no private matches, no teaming up with buddies, no They've addressed the cheating because now they have Epic Games money behind them to help with anti-cheat. And going free to play was kind of like the ultimate ribbon on top of all that improvement, where like they were like, if you didn't like our game when we started, then come back and see what we've got. It's free now.
Yeah, private matches in Fall Guys are so fun. Such a great addition, and it works really well with content creation because I'll watch streamers and whatnot, and they'll just like start up a private lobby and put the room code on screen, and it'll fill with like viewers, and then it's hilarious. Just comedy ensues for the next 10 minutes,
Mhm.
and then just being able to play with like 7 or 8 friends in a Discord. Obviously, the game was meant to be played with way more people than that, but it's still fun to just screw around with friends in it.
I'm
I
glad
know
they
this is a
that,
two-way street, but I really like that Fall Guys made a genius move of putting such a wonderful ongoing game like Destiny 2 in it.
Put Destiny 2 and Fall
Yeah,
Guys.
they are pros at doing the cross promotional thing as well. Like we've seen Sonic, we've seen Street. They just announced Street Fighter costumes.
They did a Ghostbuster
Yeah.
one this month too, last month as well.
Hmm.
I feel like Fall Guys has addressed a lot of my personal complaints with it, which was like there were no private lobbies or anything like that when it first started out. Matchmaking was just like you could have like 2 or 3 friends with you, right, and that was it.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, it definitely had that game was completely free to play. It should have been completely free to play when it launched too. So I think going back to that or going to that is a smart move. It's like all the things. It's not. I don't think all of my complaints have been addressed yet, but the majority of the things that I had a problem with are definitely out the door now. So I gotta give Fall Guys credit for listening to me, at the very least. You
Put
know,
on them too for
yeah,
creating a pact for the people that did buy in to reward them for sticking with the game. I
yeah.
think that they made good on their move to free to play by giving those of us who jumped in from Jump Street something really cool for being there.
Yeah. And yeah, they're just cute little tic tacs. All right. Well, that's 3 nominations right there. Let's see if we have any more nominations.
We do. We have one. We have a couple more, I think. At least one more.
At least one more, right, Greg?
Yeah, at least one more. I've got to go with Dragonflight again. Like I said, WoW is an 18-year-old game, and they're still finding ways to make every major expansion and like big patches feel different. And the biggest thing I've already talked about the interface and some of the other stuff, that the flight mechanics that they added and most improved, but they've also revamped all the talent trees. And the best thing about this is I was playing that game where we had your min maxers. They would look at your talent tree and say, "Oh, you're not Spectre. You can't do this thing," and it sucked. And I deliberately asked the designer a question, like if that's going to happen again. And no, everything in your class toolkit that is like required for you to do your class is automatically there. The talent tree is to make you have a sense of class identity and play how you want to play. Like if there's like, for example, like a battle res allowed you to res in combat, but you had to take a talent in it. You used to have to take a talent in it. Now you don't. You just get it. Now there's something else that if you really like this certain spell, you can the flavor of the classes is now dramatic. And some of these classes have 3 different skill trees. I play a hunter, and a hunter has a beast mastery spec, a ranged DPS spec, and a melee spec. And they all play completely differently from one another. That's just one class. No class plays the same. It's really impressive what they've been able to do. And there's so much variety in the game now. If you don't want to raid, you can PvP. If you don't like PvP, you can pet battle, which is basically Pokemon in the Warcraft universe. If you don't want to pet battle, you can just level and enjoy the story, which is actually quite lengthy. And like I said before, with like fully animated cutscenes and voiced cutscenes, like it's very engaging and it's long. Like the Shadowlands arc, when you take out the gates because they wanted to roll it out slowly so people didn't instantly do it, it's about like a 12-hour story, which is really impressive. And you're meeting these famous characters and stuff and playing through this campaign, and you can be done at the end of the campaign and be like, cool, I'm done. I'll come back when they add more story content. There's so much variety to what you can do in that game and what you can continue to do. And one of my favorite things to do is go back to past expansions and like get gear that I missed out, like transmog myself to look different. Like what kind of weapons did an expansion 6 years ago have that I missed? Oh, I want that weapon. The weapon looks cool, and I'll try to get that gear. And because I'm over leveled, I can just race through it like Diablo and just get a bunch of loot, get money, get additional transmog, get surprised on stuff that drops for me, like new shoulders or a helm. Like, oh, that's awesome. And like that's something, and like I'm not gonna brag on Destiny in this thing. I'm gonna let it have its moment because it has improved a lot. But that's something you can't do in Destiny because they're constantly taking things away from the game because of size. They're concerned about size on consoles, which is a legitimate concern. But I really like the fact that in Warcraft I can go to any expansion and just play it. I can even go back to older areas that were revamped in a story. They're like, oh, would you like to time travel to this older area and like experience it, look through it, grind through it, or play the quest? Like it's all still there. And the fact that they've never had to fragment it out or like make a WoW 2 or like have to do any of that stuff, I think is really impressive for a game. Like, again, it says 18 years old. You know, I mean, I find that game incredibly engaging, and it doesn't have to be a grind. Like, there are grinders in Destiny too. There's grinders in WoW. There's been maxers in Destiny. There's been maxers in WoW. But you don't have to do that. Like, and Bill said, in either game now. Like, you can kind of play how you want, which is kind of nice. Like, the thing I hate about games, all games, is when activities feel like chores. And the cool thing about WoW is I don't have to do those chores. I can do other things instead of those chores if they feel like chores. And I think that's such a cool thing to see in a game that's so old. Like it's just incredibly old. 18, it turns 18. David's right. 18 years old this year. That's insane that they haven't made a WoW 2 or had to completely rebuild it from the ground up or do a re-release. You know, and they've done it all with keeping everything intact.
And just a point of clarification, because it was an issue before, Greg, you're right, but it's not anymore. They got rid of taking content out of the game in terms of like, so like going forward, and this was announced a few months ago, Sam, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not
Yeah,
mistaken.
so they're not taking content out of Destiny 2.
I'm happy for that because it should be world, like we should be able to go to the moon if we want, just if we want to walk around, you know, like I felt that was a really, I'm glad that they changed that. That's good for them. It'll be good for the community. I mean, WoW does that too, but they do it on a much smaller scale. Like there'll be like a limited time mount, right? And then people get really pissed. Like I missed out on a druid form because I wasn't active during this patch in this limited window, and I'm pissed because it was like a tree ant like tiger made out of wood and leaves, and I missed it. And I was like, and I can never get it again. And that feeling sucks sometimes. But
as a player, I got to say, in terms of like Destiny 2 losing content back in the day, it was, and this is kind of like a bit of a tangent, it was kind of exciting to have those planets disappear because of the impending threat and what it represented to the greater narrative that we'd all been looking forward to as Destiny players. Was the darkness coming in and encroaching on our territory, and having these planets disappear meant that it was on our doorstep. The threat was here, it was present, and that narratively ties into the limitations that Bungie did face, but now they addressed that.
I mean, Activision had a lot to do with that too. Like they were pretty stranglehold by their contracts. I remember that Destiny 2 was very convoluted and complex based on their agreement of what the game would be. But like I said, like I've had quad digits in Destiny 1, quad digits. Like I loved that game. And then when 2 came out, it's like going to your favorite Mexican restaurant. Like you've gone to it for years, and then you go that one time and you get super sick. And I'm just like, and then you never quite trust that restaurant again. And that's how I feel with Destiny 2. I just never quite feel, I know there's been a lot of changes. I know there's been a lot of improvements. I just, arm's length, I'm very hesitant to jump back in there.
All right. Well, with that, I think we've heard all the deliberations at this point. Greg, coming in strong for World of Warcraft this year. Impressive argument. And you know what, Greg? I'm giving you, you're getting my vote, dude. You made a strong case, and I am going to
Let me cover up my bias again. Hold on, let me just cover that real fast. There we go.
All right. David, who swayed your heart the most?
Well, it's always you, Your Honor, always you.
Oh, shucks.
But if I have to choose a game in this category, I thought Greg and Sam and adjacent Bill all made really strong arguments, but I feel like I gave,
but not TJ.
Well, TJ did as well, but like Destiny 2. No, Destiny 2 and WoW, I think, are like the most interesting games to me in this category, and I gave WoW its flowers in another category, so I think I'm gonna give Destiny 2 my vote this time around.
All right, well, there you go, a vote for D2. Denny, are you gonna vote for D2 too?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Destiny, even though I don't play Destiny. I've seen it have the most impact week to week. I feel like in a lot of
And he
different
sees
ways.
the
So-
ongoing socialness of it.
Yeah, those games are an acquired
Yes.
taste for sure, but people really do enjoy them. Both games, like they're acquired taste, but people like them.
Yeah, and they and I feel like it drives a lot of conversation whenever there's something going down. Obviously, that's the case of other games like Fortnite and such too. But just considering the amount of consistency there, beyond just it being different content based on skins or packs or whatever, I think that Destiny has earned that spot for this year.
Fair enough. Donovan, are you throwing away your vote on Fortnite?
No, I'll get in the mix and vote for I'll do Destiny 2. Why not? You cannot overstate the fervor around that game. So Destiny 2
Great.
it is.
Destiny 2 it is. Fortnite getting the Overwatch 2 treatment there. Greg.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to Warcraft, and I'll put up a thing too. If Donovan tries Warcraft, I'll let Bill or Sam hold my hand back into Destiny 2, and I'll dip my toes in that pond again and see if I can.
No deal. I don't want to do that.
No one
Ah,
wants.
you said it was
no
so
one
easy to
wants-
get into. I'm not being facetious. You don't want to do that?
Oh, my fire team's full, man.
Oh, that's rough. Oh wow, look at that.
Ooh,
No
that's
accessibility allowed.
That's fucking cold.
Listen
just got
to
cold
those
for
savage
her.
Destiny fans.
What it is I don't want to be 4 hours of Greg going, this is why I don't like it. And so, yeah.
Well, you said it's changed though, so that's the thing. Like, I haven't played it since the launch, so like I mean, it's been a lot of changes.
Greg,
Bill
I'll
also-
introduce you to Fortnite, and we'll have a great time.
I've played
It
Fortnite.
is
Yeah, I
the-
played it.
In his defense, Bill already went through that process with Asif, only for Asif to bounce off so hard.
Yeah, but he's saying he's going to Lightfall, Greg. That's when. Lightfall. Okay? That's... I'll help you with
Okay.
Lightfall.
Yeah,
That's when the new campaign comes out. Lots of good stuff.
That's the way to
Alright.
start. Yeah, 100%.
All right, TJ, where are you voting?
I'd like to personally apologize to Ozzy Mejia for myself not making a compelling enough case for David in the conversation about Fall Guys. But I'm still gonna vote in that camp because I really think Fall Guys knocked it out of the park with everything they've done this year.
Fair enough. I feel that. What about you, Morgan? How are you feeling right now about things? Where do you want to vote?
Destiny.
Destiny 2?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Bill Lavoie.
TJ, you really botched this one, huh? No, I'm just kidding.
TJ, where were you on that one, TJ?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't get into this side of it, but I obviously, and I know I'm not the only one, but I see the impact and the ongoing interest in Destiny through our analytics, and that's another angle of it that it can't be denied. So Destiny 2.
Oh man. So Sam, you're voting for Fall Guys, right?
Oh,
Or
man.
World of Warcraft?
Everyone knows how much I love Fall Guys. No, I'm going to stick with Destiny 2. And look, Greg, there's always room in my fire team, mate. I'll hold your hand through Lightfall. We'll do it. We'll get the new Strand subclass.
You
and
kept telling me it's changed. I was like, maybe it's changed.
We'll
And Bill's
fight
like, you won't like it.
Calistrand.
I'm
It's
like,
going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
All right. Well, we have a few absentee ballots to count as well. Asif, yeah, he went with Destiny 2. And let's see. We know Ozzy went with Fall Guys because, of course, he did. It's his nomination.
The only other one is Steve T, maybe.
Yeah, Steve is the only other nomination. Steve went with Destiny 2.
Smart guy, that Steve.
It was close, but it's obviously World of Warcraft, right? Nope. With a astounding majority, Destiny 2 has won Best Ongoing Game of 2022. That's a lot of twos.